Hello everyone, my name is Jeff Sebesta. I know I've met a few of you all here and there. I'm running for the Secretary of State of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. I'm running to raise issues and to bring issues to the fore, specifically that felons need the right to vote immediately. Iowa's moving really fast. We're about to be the last state that doesn't automatically give the right to vote back to felons. We need to fix that immediately. So I plan to use every single time I talk to mention that. And I hope you all do too. I hope that every single Secretary of State candidate that comes through here, I hope you mention it to them, because you all are in the right neighborhood. I'm sure you've already seen the Jasons a couple times. They're running a real good campaign. It's a real good field. I'm happy to be part of it. So what I'm specifically offering that's different from all the other candidates is that I am offering transparency, 21st century transparency, actual transparency. I will refuse all privileged correspondence while I'm in office, all of it. If somebody sends me something, it will be published immediately. If I get an email, it goes out. If I write an email, it also goes out. If I get a letter, we scan it, it goes on the web. You will see it. You will see everything that passes through the Secretary of State's office. Now, that's a promise that any candidate can make at any level, and in fact, I think they should. But the way this is interesting, and this ties into something you were talking about before with voter education, is the Kentucky Constitution is an amazing document. And when it comes to voter education, I strongly advise printing up copies and giving it to people because they love it. It's really, really, really well written. One of the most interesting things in the Kentucky Constitution is that the Secretary of State is tasked with not running elections, not running the corporate endowments that came later. What the Secretary is supposed to do is keep a fair copy and report on all official acts of the governor. Now, to me, if they're in office, it's official. A fair copy means you can read it. That means that I will use my powers under the Kentucky Constitution to ferret out and publish literally everything in the governor's office. No more secret deals at all, ever. If I'm working with a governor who has the interests of the people in mind, like Mr. Young or Mr. Atkins, we can promise the most transparent administration in state history, easily. If I'm working with somebody like Bevan, who is clearly running to get what they can get, I will be in their office every day saying, what's that? What's this? Can I publish this? This isn't a fair copy. What's all these black lines that's all over everything on this piece of paper? I want a fair copy. I want to know who the donors are. I want to know who's on the boards. I want to know how much is being paid, because I want to tell the people and I want to tell the legislature. Now, anyone can do this. Of the four candidates, we can all promise this. We can all do this. I am very much enjoying my campaign. This is the first time I've ever run for anything, although I've worked on about 30 different elections all over the states. I've worked on city council elections in New Jersey. I've worked for governors in Texas. It's always the millionaires that win. I've noticed that several times. I'm really enjoying running right now. But the main reason I'm running is to bring this to you and to tell you, don't you want this? Is this what you want? Because you're going to see all the other candidates. They're all trying. They're all trying very hard. All the other Democratic candidates will come here, and then after they're done, all the Republicans will come here too. And hopefully there will be a Libertarian and some Independents that come by. And you can say to them, exactly how much am I going to know? What are you going to tell me about the governor? How far are you willing to go to the governor's office to give us the most transparent administration in the history of the state? And this is something that I am not uniquely qualified to do. I feel that any of us could do it. I feel that anybody has the ability to be truly transparent right now. So all you got to do is ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
Well, I have two questions. One is the same I asked this other gentleman, which is, what are your qualifications for Secretary of State? But then the other one relates to what you said. I have always thought that you should publish bills that they're voting on. I mean, why does that not happen? Because nowadays with technology, it could be.
Well, to be perfectly blunt, is because the Secretary of State is not taking that seriously enough, because there actually are open records provisions here in Kentucky. And if you recall, Bevan ran into a huge problem back in, December, where he tried to sneak the second part of the sewer bill through, and he couldn't because he didn't do the reporting. Right. Well, there's reporting conventions, there's there's legislation that requires how often a bill is read and when it is published.
understand.
And if someone is in charge of the office that takes it very seriously, then that will be brought to you more. Although there are readings of the bill, and although there is publication of the bill, they're not publishing it like they should. They're not publicizing it like they should. And I do think the Secretary of State's office, although I hate to get into like, we should modernize. I assume every candidate we see says, I love Kentucky and we should modernize. I do love Kentucky, we should modernize. But the website needs to be better. Your responsibilities as a voter for the voting boards should be clearer. We've had this problem several times, and in Clark County especially, they were having some trouble with that. And in Fayette County, because they actually took down a database we were using on the day of the primary while we were trying to drive people to go vote. I would avoid comments like that. I would publish everything. My strong inclination in every circumstance is to increase the franchise, allow more people to vote, and to publish literally everything. Now, as to my qualifications, it's a good question. I have secretarial experience. None of the other candidates can say that. I can type 100 words a minute. I used to work for Konica USA as the advertising and marketing secretary. My aunt, Susan Clow, was Jimmy Carter's secretary when he was in office. So I come from a long line of secretaries. We were joking about this when
You
we were
want to be a
talking.
secretary?
Well, I have been in the past, and I'm sure I will be again.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a big deal, but after this, there's really not a lot of secretarial positions open. You can be the Secretary of Defense or the Secretary General of the United States or the United Nations. I'm not really looking to do that. I'm looking to do this because I think I can do a good job at it, and I think that one of the things that we've discovered is that we can change the debate. By paying your filing fee and showing up for the meetings, you can change the debate. Now, this is a $1 million popularity contest, and I'm running against a woman who has a street named after her. So I'm very realistic about my chances. But I've had an interesting life. I've run a lot of very small offices, a lot of very small businesses. I see no reason that I can't handle this, and I'll tell you why. It's because in Kentucky, the reason why every single position is an elected position in Kentucky. And that is because back in the 1800s, they had real problems with positions getting out of control because you get bureaucrats. They silt up at the top of the office. It's not a bad thing, it's just the nature of the system. What you want is civilian oversight. You're not looking to hire the person who is in charge of the state board of elections. You're looking for an ordinary person who can walk into the office and tell you what's going on and run it in a way that you are okay with. And I am promising that. I do have a lot of experience that is relevant but strange. Like, I worked at the World Trade Center. That's coming up a lot when I deal with the Republicans. They're wrapping themselves in 9/11 for some reason. I have some real strong feelings about that. I interned at Marvel Comics. I noticed your Batman tattoo. I'm a working professional comic book artist, and I have been for, I should be richer for as long as I've been working. And yeah, that's it. I just have a weird and interesting life. Any other questions? Go ahead, Mary.
Go ahead. Well, I do the bill watching, and we were talking about that. The LRC is responsible for the publication and that type of thing, and it's very inadequate. And it's all listed by the bill number as opposed to what that is actually constitutes the bill. And then the last time I tried to get in on LRC to their website to look at a bill and where it was at, if it had been out of committee or not, I couldn't access the website. So, and I don't know why. I don't know if it was overused, it was overburdened. I have no idea. But the amount of bills that they pass in a session, especially in a long session, is astounding.
Yes.
It's astounding, and it's most of the time it's going to rename Main Street into Tom T. Hall Boulevard or something. I mean, there's a lot of really strange stuff in there, and so all the really good bills that you really want to watch, it's subverted.
Yeah, well, that is the problem with transparency. It really is. So it seems to me like that's 3 questions, which is, what do I think, what would I do, and how would I detect the problem in the first place? What do I think that's messed up? What would I do? I'd hire somebody. How would I detect the problem in the first place? I believe very strongly in the end user experience. I believe in going and checking things out myself. I believe in going to this website and looking around and trying to figure it out. And if I can't, then I pick up the phone and I say, we need to fix this. And if you call me and you say I can't figure this out, then I pick up the exact same phone My job here is to find problems. My job here is to look for them. I hope, was that adequate, or did you want more?
No, it's just, it seems very overwhelming.
It is.
With that amount of bills, it would be really hard to keep track,
And that's why we
especially in a short session.
That's why we have so many groups like KFTC who bill watch, and it's a shame that there's a gatekeeper effect and a filtering effect. But my role as Secretary of State is absolute nonpartisan fairness. I can't pick sides. My job will be to produce the information and to allow you to decide from that. I can't tell you which bill is more important than the other. I just have to tell you both bills are here, and maybe you don't think you know.
And politics is entered into the Secretary of State. I mean,
Yeah.
Allison's in a fight constantly over Bevan. I mean,
Yes.
there just seems to be this, and I know it's political,
It is.
but you
And
know.
I'm coming at it from a different angle. I actually am, I work with my colleague, Mr. Young here. We can promise by far the most nonpartisan administration we can possibly imagine. We owe nothing to our local Democratic Party. We like Democrats. We like the people and what Democrats care about. But the Democratic Party apparatus in this state, and especially at the national level, is in tremendous disarray. We owe them nothing. They owe us nothing. I will be working for the people. I will be scrupulously fair. I will be fair to everyone, Republican, Democrat, or Independent. You'll know I'm fair because I'll disagree with you sometimes. That's what fairness is sometimes, is making a show out of it. I hope, was that sufficient? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, Ed, sir?
Okay, let me preface this by saying that I in no way, shape, or fashion mean to offend you.
No.
But you're doing this on Facebook Live, which I applaud use technology. I don't see it often enough. What would you say to your Facebook Live audience right now if they were asking, why should I take this guy seriously? I mean, you're scruffy, long hair, you're not wearing a suit, you don't look like someone running for office. So,
Man, I hate to tell the
them.
same joke twice, but I'm going to. Abraham Lincoln, as I'm sure you're aware, was a very tall man. So what did he do? He bought a hat that made him taller. Well, I'm a hippie, and I'm in a popularity contest with Miss America. I am not going to be the best put together looking person in this entire campaign. That's simply not happening. So what I'm doing is I'm being myself. And the reason the reason I'm running is so that you will take what I say to Miss Henry, who is probably going to win. And she needs to beat Adams. There's actually, I didn't mean to, but
It's
I
Heather French.
Yes.
Well, you gotta hold her to it, man. You gotta make her pay attention. You gotta make her act right, because if you lose this, next year's the census. Michael Adams is, I'm sure Jason Griffith has already told you, the lawyer for 5 different states' voter suppression efforts, including Georgia, Kansas, Ohio, and I believe it was one of the Carolinas. Don't quote me on that one. We need to win this one. I honestly think that I have a better chance of beating him than she does, but I do not have $1 million. And unless one of y'all is going to give me $1 million in the next couple of minutes, that's just the way it's going to be. So she's going to win. So what you want to do is you want to hold her to this. This is what people want. This is what people want to hear. This is what people want from the government. This is what she can do. She can promise this. If you can make her promise this. Jason Griffith is already picking up on what I'm saying a lot, and I'll be perfectly blunt. If and when I win, I'm going to hire him. I don't know Miss Henry well enough yet to know one way or the other. She seems like a very sincere human being. But if you want her to beat Michael Adams, who is out, he's not talking about expanding voting rights to felons. I saw him talk the other day. He's talking about making you bring your driver's license to go vote. He wants people off the rolls. We want people on. So I hope, was that sufficient, or?
Is there going to be any debates?
I hope so. I've challenged all of my opponents to a debate. The only one who said so far is Steve Nipper, the fellow from the Republican side. I like him a lot, actually. If you gotta go with the Republican. I think he's the best of them. None of the other ones will. I've challenged them several times. Every time I challenge Jason Belcher to a debate, he starts talking about Venezuela. That's the way it is. They don't feel that they have anything to gain by debating me, and they're right. If they debate me, they legitimate me, and they give themselves a little bit of a boost, and they give me a big boost, and they're thinking about themselves, and I'm not. This is a very strange thing to say in an open meeting, but there's only a few people on the Democratic side who are honestly running without ego. We're running because we need to get this done, because we care about what's going on. We're running for the race, we're running to have a good race. And I mean, Mr. Young is always that way, and he's chosen to bring me along. We've met a couple other candidates who I would say the same for. Chris Toby is an excellent choice for Iowa. I'm a big fan of both the guys for agricultural commissioner, but I'm a little bit tending towards Trigg, who is a truly sincere man who is running for the right reasons. I'm just trying to make it feel better because I really think that we need to win. Oh, and Greg Stumbo. Greg Stumbo's a fascinating guy. I don't know if y'all have ever met him, but man, what an interesting dude. He is. I really like him. Really hope he wins. Anything else?
Very charming.
Yeah, I know. You know what? That's part of it.
I know you had asked about the debate. There was talk at one point with the chamber in the city trying to hold a debate on campus. I don't know where they are at that, but we could follow up on that.
There's.
With Tom.
Yeah.
I had something to
Some of the students are also interested in something like a Secretary of State's debate. The idea is feasible, sort of.
Yeah, we still have enough of a schedule that if you put it in, you can drag this out. And if you put it at bingo hall, what you can do is you can get some simple furnace filters from from Lowe's or whatever, Walmart, and just tape both of them, both sides of the box in, and just leave them on for 24 hours. Pulls an amazing amount of smoke out of the air. And also, I thought about this, and I don't know you all. Part of our function is to go to all these meetings, right? Like that's what we do. We're the rogue neurons that go to all these meetings all around the county, all these places. Cattle, $5,000. That's super charming. I love that. You're also right. It's incredibly difficult, and until I'm Secretary of State and we have these 501c3 clinics in all these high schools that I'm planning on, it's hard to get a 501c3. But pretty sure cattle aren't always $5,000. Pretty sure when they're real small, they're under than $500. And if you raffle off cattle to somebody and they say, I don't actually have an apartment, well, they just have a investment in the Democratic Party. What you do is find a friendly Democratic farmer and let them raise that cattle. And the person gets whatever they get out of it, and the Democratic Party gets the rest, and everybody's real invested. And one last thing, and I'll let y'all go. But one of the things we've discovered, going to as many counties as possible, is you know about the Lincoln dinners?
Yes,
You know they've got them everywhere, right?
they were in Wood County last weekend.
Yeah, all the Republicans do is they drive from Lincoln dinner to Lincoln dinner to Lincoln dinner. That's their entire campaign short. They just drive from one Lincoln dinner to another. Everything's set up for them. And every place I go, every single county, from Clark to Scott to Buellton, they all talk about fundraising, and you all need to be fundraising, we need to be fundraising too. But these dinners, these Lincoln dinners, are a really good way to fundraise and campaign at the same time. And if the Democrats in Kentucky could have something like that, it'd be super cool.
Who would we name it after? Roosevelt.
Well, that's the
The Roosevelt dinner.
Actually, if I could say, I think you should name it after his Muhammad Ali.
The Kennedy dinner.
Muhammad Ali.
Absolutely, Muhammad Ali. One of the things I've discovered on this campaign tour is I'm just driving from my house in Lexington, but it's a tour. Is that Muhammad Ali is actually incredibly important to so many freaking people. And one of my campaign promises, and it's on my website, is that I want to replace the statue of Jefferson Davis with the statue of Muhammad Ali. Because he's by far the most important, politically speaking, Kentuckian of all time. He wasn't a Democrat, but
I
that's
was going to
okay.
ask if he was, I didn't know what his affiliation.
He was non-political because his I gotta be really careful when I start talking about Muhammad Ali here. He was non-political, but I would like to bring what he stood for into the Democratic Party, because to me, the Democratic Party has to be the party of compromise and reason and rationality and deep thought. We have no choice. The past is always with us, and the Democratic Party made some major mistakes within the era of photography, mistakes that are hurting us badly. We have to be able to say that, yes, this was actually the party that started the CSA. This was the party that started the KKK. And the fact that the Democratic Party has survived to this day to be as hoity-toity and as righteous as we are, what great people we are and how decent we are now, is proof that people can change, that organizations can grow, that forgiveness is possible. Because the Democratic Party, what it did in the 1860s, it shouldn't exist anymore. What happened back then was incredibly awful. I'm a bit of a historian, I study it. It's hard to explain Democratic politics in the 1850s. They were very, very, very bad.
And that past is still with us. So as we move forward, we need to be the party of inclusiveness, of forgiveness, of saying that people were
Well, the
wrong.
Republicans aren't the party of Lincoln anymore either.
Well, actually, but they're still doing their Lincoln dinners. And the thing is, the Republicans are the party of moral simplicity and easy answers. And we cannot take that away from them. We have to be the party of difficult answers. We have to be the party that says, yeah, you know what? I don't want to be called a baby killer anymore. But here's what's going on with abortion, and here's how your plan is making things worse. We have to stand up and be complicated and smart and fast and rhyme when we can, which is why I wanted all these so great.
Okay, so thank you. Our only thing we need to decide now, I don't know that we need to meet in April. I think we can meet in May and talk about our plan for promoting whoever ends up being on the general slate. What do you all think about that? Okay, so we'll meet the first Thursday, or first, sorry, Monday, May. What is that?
Six.
My birthday week. Let's go for that.
At least you don't feel late now, 7 months.
It's like, it is what it is. Thanks.
But it's
Oh, it's still live. Jeez. No, it's not.
okay, so